The claim to paramountcy. Paramountcy means supreme power. By the early 19th century, the company persuaded an aggressive policy of territorial expansion. Under Lord Hastings, the Governor General of India from 1813 to 1823, a new policy of paramountcy was initiated. Now, the company claimed that its authority was paramounted or supreme over all the territories of India. Hence, its power was greater than that of Indian states. In order to protect its interest, it was justified in capture or threatening to capture any Indian kingdom. This view continued to guide later British policy as well. This process, however, did not go unchallenged. For example, when the British tried to annex a small state of Kittur in Karnataka, Rani Channamma took arms and led an anti-British resistance movement against Britisher. She was arrested in 1824 and died in prison in 1829. But Rayana, a poor chokidar of Sangoli in Kittur, carried on the resistance. With popular support, he destroyed many British camps and records. He was caught and hanged by the British in 1830. In the late 1830s, the East India Company became worried about Russia. It imagined that Russia might expand their power across Asia and entire India from the northwest. Driven by this fear, the British now wanted to secure their control over the northwest. They fought a big war with Afghanistan between 1838 and 1842 and established indirect company rule there. Sindh was taken over in 1848. Next in line was Punjab, but the presence of Maharaja Ranjit Singh held back the company. After his death in 1839, two big wars were fought with the Sikh kingdom. Ultimately, in 1849, Punjab was also captured by the Britisher. The doctrine of lapse. Lapse means conquer. The final wave of conquering occurred under Lord Dalhousie, who was the Governor General of India from 1848 to 1856. He introduced a policy known as the doctrine of lapse. What this policy was all about: if any Indian ruler died without the male son, his kingdom would be the part of the Britisher, or else his territory will become the part of the Britisher. One kingdom after another was annexed simply by applying this doctrine. Satara was captured by the year 1848, Sambalpur by the year 1850, Udaipur by the year 1852, Nagpur by the year 1853, and Jhansi by the year 1854. Finally, in 1856, the company also took over Awadh. How company captured Awadh? By spreading rumors about the Nawab of the Awadh. Company told that the Nawab of the Awadh is a misgovernment, is using his power to loot his people. This rumor spread across all over the Awadh, and this rumor helped the Britisher to conquer or to capture Awadh. Setting up a new administration. Warren Hastings, the Governor General of India from 1773 to 1785, was one of the main important figures who played a significant role in the expansion of the British power over India's subcontinent. By his time, the company had acquired power not only in Bengal but also in Bombay and Madras. British territories were broadly divided into administrative units called the presidencies. There were three presidencies: Bengal, Madras, and Bombay. Each was ruled by a governor. The supreme head of the administration was the Governor General. Warren Hastings, the first Governor General, introduced several administrative reforms, which is known as sphere of justice. From 1772, a new system of justice was introduced. Each district was to have two courts, a criminal court, Faujdari Adalat, and a civil court, Diwani Adalat. Civil court means the court of the citizens. The civil court will be administered by Maulvi and Hindu Pandit, whereas the criminal court will still under a Qazi and a Mukti, but under the supervision of the collectors. Mufti or Qazi. Qazi means a judge, whereas Mufti means a jurist of the Muslim community responsible for presenting the laws that the Qazi would administer. A major problem was that the Brahmin Pandits gave different interpretations of local laws based on different schools of Dharma Shastra. What is Dharma Shastra? It is actually a Sanskrit text prescribed social rules and codes of behavior of the Indian citizen. To bring about uniformity, in 1775, 11 Pandits were asked to compile a book of Hindu laws. N.B. Alhed translated this book into English. By 1778, a code of Muslim laws was also compiled for the benefits of European judges. Under the Regulating Act of 1773, a new Supreme Court was established, while a Court of Appeal, the Sadr Nizamat Adalat, was also set up at Calcutta. The principal figure in an Indian district was the collector. As the title suggests, his main job was to collect revenue and taxes and maintain law and order in his district with the help of judges, police officers, and chief officers. His office, the collectorate, became the new center of power and that steadily replaced previous holders of the authority. The Company Army. Colonial rule in India brought in some new ideas of administration and reform, but its power rested on its military strength. The Mughal army was mainly composed of cavalry. Cavalry means savars, trained soldiers on horseback, and infantry, that is pedal. Pedal means foot soldiers. They were given training in archery, that is tir andazi, and the use of the swords. The cavalry dominated the army, and the Mughal state did not feel the need to have a large professionally trained infantry. The rural areas had a large number of armed peasants, and the local zamindars often supplied the Mughals with pedal soldiers. A change occurred in the 18th century when Mughal successor states like Awadh and Banaras started recruiting peasants into their armies and training them as professional soldiers. The East India Company adopted the same method when it began recruitment for its own army, which came into be known as Sepoy Army. From the Indian word, Sipai means soldier. As warfare technology changed from the 1820s, the cavalry requirement of the company's army declined. This is because the British Empire was fighting in Burma, Afghanistan, and Egypt, where soldiers were armed with muskets and matchlocks. What is musket? A heavy gun used by infantry soldiers. Matchlock, an early type of gun in which powder was burned by a match. The soldiers of the company's army had to keep measure with changing military requirement, and its infantry regiments now become more important. In the early 19th century, the British began to develop a uniform military culture. Soldiers were increasing subjected to European style training. drill, and discipline that regulated their life far more than before. Often, this created problems since caste and community feeling were ignored in building a force of professional society. Now, conclusion of the chapter. Thus, the East India Company was transformed from a trading company to a territorial colonial power. The arrival of new steam technology in the early 19th century also aided this process. Till then, it would take anywhere between 6 to 8 months to travel to the India by sea. Steamships reduced the journey time to 3 weeks, enabling more Britisher and their family to come to as far off country like India. By 1857, the company came to exercise direct rule over about 63% of the territory and 78% of the population of Indian subcontinent. Combined with its indirect influence on the remaining territory and the population of the country, the East India Company had virtually the whole of India under its control. So here we end with this chapter. Thank you.